Every strike has the same devastating pattern. First the light, then the sound, and a powerful blast of hot air that nearly knocks us off our feet. Even though most targets are a mile away, I've never felt anything so intense.
One building after another going down, Tom. Right in front of us, at least 10 major buildings destroyed, Tom, in the course of about 2 minutes. An amazing sight. Just like out of an action movie, but this is real. This is real. This is shock and awe, Tom.
500 to 600 cruise missiles from U.S. warships and Air Force B-52s, followed by waves of B-2 stealth bombers and stealth fighters, dropping 2,000-pound bunker buster bombs. And every weapon is precision-guided, deadly accuracy designed to kill only the target, not innocent civilians.
What is taking place today is as targeted an air campaign as has ever existed.
The night sky just lit up. There were cruise missiles in the sky, and it was an awesome sight.
With the night sky aglow, even in the southern Iraq desert, more ground forces charged across the Kuwait border.
Those armored formations are going to move very, very quickly. It wouldn't surprise me if the 3rd Infantry Division's lead elves have covered somewhere between 150 and 200 miles at this point.
Tom, we're just rolling along. It's nighttime now, obviously, here in Iraq. It's coming up on 9:10, 9:15 at night. So it's been almost 23 hours now since this force first crossed into southern. Large force, the 2nd Brigade of the U.S. Army's 3rd Infantry Division. And they're just rolling along here, moving north toward Baghdad.
If you just visualize this, it's pitch black out there. There's 1,000 or more armored vehicles, 3,000 or 4,000 wheeled vehicles. They're moving in complete blackout conditions, night vision goggles. And while they're moving, they're engaging enemy forces on the move and nailing them at 3,000 meters. They're the first army in history that actually knows where they are in the dark.
NBC's Brian Williams is in Kuwait City, where the sirens have been sounding again tonight. Brian, are the people of Kuwait able to watch the ground action as the American ground units begin to move north?
They are. The coverage, of course, being beamed globally. People in disbelief that with this war, the new marriage of technology, both militarily and in television, that they can watch the actual units, like David Bloom's, moving north through Iraq. And there is palpable excitement that this neighbor to the north, this tyrant, may not be a problem much longer.
But 2 days into the war, what impact would shock and awe truly have?
As we've seen plenty of shock and awe today, American commanders are convinced that's what it will take to spur the Iraqi people to action against Saddam Hussein. But NBC military analyst William Arkin warns that shock and awe can cut both ways. While Iraqis might turn on Saddam, making them a target, they could end up hating Americans more for dropping bombs.
All of the entire Desert Storm, 330 weapons landed on Baghdad in 43 days. Today, 330 weapons landed on Baghdad. And so you get a sense now of what they mean when they are saying shock.
NBC's Kelly O'Donnell is in Qatar, where Tommy Franks, the general in charge of all of this, is running the war from the U.S. Central Military Command. What's the report out of there today on the progress of the war so far, Kelly?
Good evening, Tom. Senior CENTCOM officials tell me that the air war is so far going as expected, and they say that the first real sign of assessment will come when daylight returns here not long from now, when they can get their first visual assessment of what has happened.
The ship is already gearing up to launch more air attacks tonight. The war plan is still fluid. However, tonight's assault is not expected to be as intense as the one we saw last night. One pilot described it this way: like a street fight. You punch hard, then you step back, see what the situation is before you decide to punch again.
Rapid series of 40 explosions lit up Baghdad in the early morning hours.
Military officials have been using the term shock and awe to describe the assault on Iraq.
Severe sandstorm. Engaged in direct battle against Saddam Hussein's Republican Guard.
Soldiers of the 3rd Infantry Division pushed past the city of Karbala, southwest of Baghdad.
It was over in 3 weeks. Saddam's army disappeared. So did Saddam.
Pivotal, and they set the stage for an assault on Baghdad expected to begin soon.
And so did Saddam's statue.
Hundreds of Iraqi civilians taken to the city streets, cheering U.S. soldiers and ripping up.
The president watched efforts to pull down Saddam's statue.
History was made. This giant symbol of Saddam's regime was torn from its pedestal.
At the White House, they were quietly celebrating.
The White House was definitely a gloat-free zone, to use his term.
We had just seen the pictures of the statue come tumbling down. The president was very emotional and happy. Condoleezza Rice was there, and the vice president was there.
Condi Rice was ecstatic. There were tears in her eyes, and she was very moved by this.
Cheney has a dinner at the residence and has his chief aide, Scooter Libby, Wolfowitz, Ken Edelman, and Cheney's wife. And it's a kind of celebration that they'd done it. And they talked at that dinner about, we're going to find weapons of mass destruction, don't worry, you know, and it was a celebration.
Across Washington, the other architect of the war was also taking a victory lap.
Scenes of free Iraqis celebrating in the streets, riding American tanks, tearing down the statues of Saddam Hussein in the center of Baghdad are breathtaking.
People were just pure exhilaration. At that point in time, you think, this might just work. And I remember seeing a guy was carrying a huge couch on his back, and he turns and says, "Yay, America!"
There were flowers, there were shouts of joy, there were people clambering on the tanks and kissing the tank crews. But by the time this happened, and within a matter of an hour of the Marine tanks coming up the Canal Expressway, of course the looting had begun.
All of a sudden, the Iraqi people started looting, attacked the ministries, basically created a series of events which didn't stop with that. Less than 2 U.S. brigades were in isolated positions in a city of more than 5 million people, having no idea of what might come next.
This was not normal. It's not a sign of liberated people. I think it's a sign of people who sense there is no authority. Iraqis are used to military coups. When they take place, they tune into their radios and they obey orders, and people know exactly how to respond to it. Instead, there was a day, 2 days, and 3 days of no authority.
General James Conway commanded the 1st Marine Expeditionary Force. They were smack in the middle of the looting.
If we had been told to stop the looting and secure the key elements of the city, we could have brought the force to do that.
Did you get on the phone and say, why aren't we defending these buildings? Why are we letting this country be looted?
Nope.
You didn't do that?
Nope.
When we questioned General McKiernan, 3rd Infantry Division commander, as to why there had been no greater attempt to impose order, he said Saddam, counting military and paramilitary, secret police and others, Saddam had 250,000 people to maintain order, and the U.S. military had arrived with 7,000.
You had no Iraqi institutions to co-opt into this. No Iraqi army, no Iraqi police, prisoners let out of prison, no local or national government organizations, ministries didn't exist.
Iraqis are looting on a grand scale. It is a clear sign that while war might be ending, there is trouble ahead.
Stuff happens. Freedom's untidy, and free people are free to make mistakes and commit crimes and do bad things. They're also free to live their lives and do wonderful things, and that's what's going to happen here.